Today, I want to talk about a philosophy of mine and a practice and an upcoming intensive that I call the Embodied Performer, or how to feel safe being seen. Let's dive into it. First things first, the Embodied Performer Intensive Weekend takes place on August 15th and ends August 17th, and this year it is happening in Brooklyn, New York. This is the second one I'm doing in a row with my colleague and friend, Weena, who does authentic movement and somatic experiencing as well. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about the techniques that we use in this weekend and why it's so profound, and then give you a little history lesson about my own body and how I overcame my fear of being seen. First thing to understand is when I say the word performer, I'm not talking about people that are performing necessarily an artistic skill, even though they are included. I'm speaking about performance as a form of expression, expressing yourself in front of people, whether it's like this, making a video, or teaching, or reading something, or giving a speech, or dancing, or singing, or playing an instrument. When you are expressing a part of yourself in front of other people, what is happening to your body? I find stage fright fascinating because I had it for so long. And the first thing to understand with it is activation. We get a massive amount of activation when we're about to be seen by a lot of people because our bodies start going into remembering and expecting certain relational or attachment traumas to occur. A relational trauma or an attachment trauma, sometimes we call them relational ruptures, is when something breaks, some kind of safety or trust breaks between you and the other person. It can be abuse, it can be betrayal, it can be misattunement. There's a lot of reasons why they tend to happen when you're younger and then become developmental traumas because you live and exist in a society, in a family, in a relational experience that is consistently stressful and painful and breaking your trust and breaking your sense of self down. So when you become an adult and you step onto a stage or you walk into a board meeting or you sit by a table with four other people and you're expected to start expressing and talking, anxiety, tension, stress builds, and the tension with that stress serves to shut you down, to constrict your voice, to literally keep you from speaking because the body's going into a freeze response. It's keeping you from having an expression because it expects expression to be met with some kind of threat or danger. So what I do in this weekend, and what I should really say we do, because Weena and I do it together, is we teach performers and public speakers and teachers and writers, anyone that's in front of people. We teach them how to actually track the activity, the activation, the energy that moves in their body when they're in front of a group of people, and how to bring in real-time somatic practices to keep that energy from overwhelming them and causing panic, or shutting them down completely. Some really common experiences or expressions of shutdown are forgetting your words, dissociating, not being able to sing clearly or fully, and losing your voice really easily. The body's so tense against your expression that it makes expression difficult, sometimes impossible, or it causes you complete exhaustion and afterwards you break down and you're just down for the count for many days. That was my experience. I would do something publicly, then I would burn out, and for a week or two, I just wanted to hide and never be seen again, and it took me a while to recover. It was like a traumatic event itself for my body to overcome just being seen in non-threatening experiences. And it showed up for me the most as a musician, more than as a trauma therapist. It's easier for me to get in front of a crowd and teach them about trauma and food and somatics. Much harder for me to sing from my heart and play the piano and tell stories about my own body and experiences. It's so intimate that it feels like there's a lot riding on it. So what I've developed over the years from doing somatic work, which has helped me completely get over my fear of performing on the stage, has been a practice called pendulation, and in that, orientation. Now, what I mean by orientation or orienting is noticing what you're looking at and how that's affecting your body. Who in the audience? What colors on the wall? Looking at the back of the audience, looking at the front of the audience, looking at my piano and enjoying the sounds, or trying to perform something to look beautiful or sexy or interesting. These have all been a big part of my understanding of how to navigate being on stage. Because if I'm orienting to something that's creating tension or panic or anxiety in my body, I can orient to something that creates peace and that settles me. So as the activation comes up and I feel that in real time when I'm playing and singing, I can then look to something that settles me and I feel that in real time when I'm playing and singing. So I have much more capacity. I don't shut down. I don't panic as much, and I feel much more comfortable on the stage. Pendulation is another thing. Pendulation is when I'm moving within my body between different sensational experiences. So I might feel a lot of constriction in my chest or belly when I'm in front of people talking about a song or singing a certain line or doing a piano solo that feels like, a big moment. And I might feel a tension build up. But in the past, I would just focus on that tension. The tension would be performing. The tension would be writing the show, or, let's say managing the whole performance, or directing it rather. But that tension caused me to be really fast, really dissociated, and really overwhelmed. And I'd be doing my whole 90-minute show with a ton of tension, which is why it took me days to recover afterwards. Now, when I feel the tension, I have this pendulation practice of where in my body don't I feel tension? Often it's my feet or the back of my body, because when I'm being seen, the front of my body is lit up because it's under all these lights and there's people looking at me, but the back of my body, nobody's seeing. So there's all this peace and softness and kind of mystery and ease back there, like a sense of privacy. So I'll feel the privacy of the back. I'll feel the settling of my hands, or my feet, or my butt, the places that are settled that no one's really looking at. And that gives my body what we call regulation, but I call modulation, where I get a little activated, and then it comes down. So I gain more of my body. I gain the places that have capacity for being seen and for performing. So in this weekend, the Embodied Performer weekend coming up, again, August 15th to August 17th in Brooklyn, New York, we will do this with a small group of 30 people, where we will perform in front of each other. We will work in small groups. We'll work in bigger groups. We'll do different practices that help expand your capacity for feeling the charge that comes with being seen without it turning into a trauma or threat response. Because when you have relational trauma in your history, your body expects it in your future. So even thinking of something coming up where you're in front of people starts to create extreme anxiety. So let me tell you my story about this. I was a closet musician for a very, very long time. It began when I was 15, 16, when I started writing music, and it went until I was around 26. So I had about 10 years where I didn't share my music with people. I didn't play in front of people. People didn't even know I made music. Just a very small handful of friends knew. Until I moved to the small mountain town, upstate New York, and I started making really beautiful friends. I started feeling much more settled and held by the mountains instead of Brooklyn, New York, and the city I was living in, which is funny because we were doing the Embodied Performer weekend. And I started feeling a sense of myself in a way I hadn't before. And then I started performing. And I was so proud of myself because I was finally able to perform. But I still wasn't enjoying performing. But everyone loved what I was doing, except for me. I would leave each performance feeling gutted, overwhelmed, dissociated, needing to eat a lot of food, most likely diner French fries. There's like my drug of choice coming down from a show. And it would take me weeks to recover. I would get really sick. And then I would just never want to perform again. Also, when I was about to perform, just thinking of the performance coming up, I'd be up at night, I'd be panicking, I'd be so worried about what was going to happen. So I wasn't enjoying this anymore. And then about a year before the pandemic in 2019, I started doing really, really deep somatic therapy work around my fear of performing on stage. And in the work I did with her, she was teaching me about overcouplings. Overcouplings are meanings, associations, expectations from the body based on what's happened in the past. So in the past, being seen in front of people had a negative consequence. So now my body has expected this to happen whenever I'm seen in front of people. And in one of the sessions with her, she had me like moment by moment walking through what happens when I go on stage. I'm on the stage, the lights are on me, I'm above people, and I'm feeling this massive amount of anxiety in my body. And she says, let's hold that. And where did you feel that before? Where does that connect to your history? And I sat with it, and bam, the sensation gave me this incredible image of 7th grade, walking out into the swimming pool for gym class, bright lights on a diving board. My breasts were developing at the time. If you don't know my story, I'm an intersex man, so I was naturally born intersex, which meant I was estrogen dominant, and the first chunk of my puberty was very female-like. So I have, male genitals, but my body was developing breasts, hips. I had elevated levels of estrogen. I felt like a girl. I couldn't put on muscle. It was a very, very fascinating, terrifying era of my life. And the pinnacle of this was 7th grade when these breasts were like big and developed. I'm standing there on this diving board and all the boys are making fun of me. Now, at this point, I had been sexually assaulted 3 different times and sexually harassed dozens of times. So I already felt so much shame and fear around people seeing me. Being exposed with my shirt off under all that light on the diving board really felt like death. And I faked an asthma attack. And for the next 6 years of middle school and high school, I was able to not do swimming for the weeks I did swimming because of my asthma. So I was very lucky I had asthma at the time because I was able to, showcase it in order to get out of doing swimming class, which, God, what a relief. So in the session with her, I realized, these specific environmental factors are reminding my body of that 7th grade experience on the diving board. I'm above people. They're below me. I'm looking down at them. There's all this light shining on me. I feel exposed. I feel degraded. I feel disgusting. I feel humiliated. And all those things were present for me when I'd be on the piano. I'd feel disgusting and ugly and humiliated and terrified, which makes no sense. It makes sense to be a little nervous or excited, but to feel humiliated and disgusting and terrified, that's an overcoupling. It's when the meaning or the feeling you have is incongruent with the actual experience. Because actually, in all reality, I was safe. People paid to come see me, so I wasn't hated or being humiliated. No one thought I was disgusting. I would get quite the opposite feedback. But my body was clenching and remembering that because the lights, the stage, my voice coming through a microphone, this big exposure of me and myself, and my music being such a vulnerable internal part of me felt very intimate. So all those factors took me back to this experience. So the next couple months, I'd be practicing uncoupling this. Like, what on stage felt safe? What on stage felt pleasant? What was different between now being 30 years old and then being 13 years old? And I started getting these distinct differences and my body began updating. And the practices I'll teach you in the Embodied Performer Weekend are the same ones I did with my therapist, and I developed some of my own to actually find pleasure in performing. So it was fascinating. It's late 2019, and I go to Brooklyn to perform some new songs with my friend Evan, and I'm there performing to a group of people, loving every minute of it. Like it was like the juiciest fruit I ever bit into, and soaking it up, and I wanted more. And so I did more and more and more performing. And then the pandemic hit. I had this huge break of performing, ended up going global and international with my trauma work because of the internet by accident. And then last year doing the first 2 performances I've done in 5 years, both of them selling out immediately, which is amazing because I never could sell out a show before, no matter how hard I tried. I felt so relaxed, so intimate, so gooey, so easy with everyone because of these practices. So please join me in August 15th to the 17th in Brooklyn, New York. We'll be at a beautiful studio. We'll have amazing snacks. We'll have 30 incredible people from all over the place. We're going to teach you the art of embodying your performance, how to be in your body, how to find places that are enjoying what you're doing, how to pendulate so you don't get overwhelmed, and how to create some capacity to feel the charge that moves you to express in front of people without overwhelming you. Really learning how to ride the charge of activation when you're performing instead of getting burnt out by it. And Weena has an incredible amount of SE and authentic movement as a combination under her belt, where she teaches the 2 of these in an incredible way to create more capacity to be your authentic self, which really just means who you are in the moment, what you're feeling, how you want to move, how you want to cough, how you want to look. You get to pick that because it's your performance, okay? So all the information you need is in the link below. You can also go to the website, holisticlifenavigation.com, and look under the live events. I can't wait to see you there. And I'm just excited to share this with other people that really want to learn, because I know how it feels to be confined by that fear of being on stage. And now I know the relief of just not giving a anymore. I'll see you next time, my friends. Thank you for watching today's episode. Please like and subscribe if you found it useful, and let me know in the comments what you want me to cover next. I have developed a 4-week self-paced course that takes 18 years of my personal and professional experience and puts it into one place where you can easily and quickly learn the foundations of recovering from stress and trauma. How does the food you eat affect your stress levels? How do the relationships in your life create stress or peace? How does the relationship you have with your body allow you to feel happier and more settled? I will cover all this and so much more in this 4-week self-paced course. And the best part, it's self-paced. You don't have to sign up at a certain date or finish it at a certain time. It's yours for life, and it's waiting there for you when you're ready to finish it. Throughout this course, I'll be teaching you philosophies and practices that combine my 3 favorite modalities: somatic experiencing, embodied parts work, and nutrition. For more information on this course, click on the link in my episode details.
Getting there, it was just, I could tell something special was about to happen.
There's just something about in-person retreats that just doesn't compare to online space.
Minla is outstandingly beautiful. Why not be there with Luis and his team?
My body knew that something intense was going to happen in the most beautiful way.
It was all about getting what each and every one of us needed and what the community needed.
My biggest takeaway is that I got introduced to myself.
We're just a bunch of misfits trying to find community with one another, and that's where my heart just blasted open because I felt like seen, and yeah, it was beautiful. I loved it.
Oh, and I forgot to mention something very important. I'm offering a $700 discount for anyone who registers before April 15th because this is our last US-based HLN team retreat until 2027. In 2026, we'll be doing this in Europe. So if you want to get in this year in upstate New York, in America, please visit holisticlifenavigation.com, click on events, find the retreat, and when you go to the registration page, make sure you type in the discount code HLN700. And as long as it's before April 15th, you get $700 off your entire purchase. So check the calendar right now, and if it's before April 15th, go register, enjoy the discount, and I cannot wait to see you there.